know how many people die every 24 hours? Jairus? 150,000.
Every 24 hours?
Every 24 hours. Do you believe in an afterlife?
Yeah, I believe it's some form of afterlife. Yes, yeah. I don't know. I just think we're all energy. We're all energy, and it doesn't go away. It just recycles.
What do you think determines your afterlife?
I just think that as far as afterlife, no one knows until you die yourself. Nobody has died and came back and told us, hey, I met my cousin Phil somewhere. I don't think anybody really knows, but do you
energy
know
goes
that, on.
But do you know that for sure? Do you know for
nobody
sure
knows that
nobody?
for sure. I'm not even saying I know that for sure. I may be wrong. But,
So now you're aware of some of the, like you mentioned, you were a Baptist. So there's views out there that there is, basically a heaven and a hell, and that you basically, if you're if you consider yourself to be a good person, a lot of people think, okay, I can go to heaven. So if there is a heaven and a hell, do you think you would go to heaven or hell?
I go to heaven because I respect everybody. I'm a good person.
Okay. So you do consider yourself to be a good person?
Very.
You seem like a real nice guy.
Yeah. I don't hate or want to harm anybody. I love this. I love the earth.
Number one, Jairus, have you ever told a lie?
Yeah.
Your whole life?
Yes, I have.
So what do you call someone who tells lies?
A liar.
A liar, right?
Right.
Now you only have to tell one to become a liar, but how many of you probably told?
Well, I'm 41 now.
Yes.
So
probably uncountable.
Right.
Probably uncountable, right? So, now have you ever stolen anything in your whole life?
Yeah, I have.
So what do you call someone who's
A
stealing?
thief.
Right. So does that make you?
Hey, a thief.
No, a lying thief. Right?
A lion thief. Oh, yeah. Right.
The third commandment says, "Thou shalt not use the name of the Lord thy God in vain." Basically, don't use it irreverently and use it as like a cuss word. Have you ever done that? Have you ever used God's name in vain?
I've done all of that.
Yeah.
I've done all of that.
Yeah, so that's called blasphemy. A lot of people don't think anything of it, especially if they don't necessarily, I don't believe in that, so it's okay. But remember, belief doesn't necessarily equal reality, right? Because I could say I don't believe in gravity and step off the Empire State Building. My belief's not going to change the reality.
It's not going to change
of me hitting that concrete,
that
right?
paper.
If Judgment Day comes and you're found guilty, you blasphemed God's name, you lied, you've stolen, then you're in big trouble on Judgment Day. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah.
So here's the last one I'll ask you, and this is one it got me for sure, and it's this. Have you ever heard of the seventh commandment? It says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now most people think they're good on that one. They've never cheated on their wife or girlfriend or whatever. But Jesus actually took it a step further, and he said this: "I tell you, you've heard it said of old, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say, if you even look at a woman to lust after her, you've already committed adultery with her in your heart."
See, that's
So
like,
have you ever done that?
I mean, of course, because I'm flesh and blood. It's tough to follow that, but
Yeah, it seems
it's like you got to hop 1 foot, try to stay within the lines on here, and
it seems like a high standard,
and
right?
then you have to do that your whole life, I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm here to tell you, man. The laws that I just went over, if we were to be held accountable by the law, that's only 4 of the 10 commandments that I just went over. 4, and we admitted to all of those, right?
All of them.
So if God were to judge you based on the 10 commandments, and we only talked about 4, bearing in mind that you admitted to being a lying, thieving, blasphemous, adulterer of the heart, would you be innocent or guilty on Judgment Day if God were to hold you accountable for that?
I think I'll be guilty.
Now, would you
all the way.
Now, would you go to heaven or hell?
I mean, where whatever He decides,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. So if God gave you justice and you were found guilty on that day, the logical conclusion would have to be what? Have to be hell, right?
Right.
So do you know what God did so you don't have to go to hell?
What, He died for us? He died for us.
That's the truth of what Jesus came to do. Now, what Jesus did, unlike us, he was perfect. He never lied, stole, cheated. You know, he never did any of these things. In fact, the Bible said that everything he did was pleasing to the Father, and he went willfully to the cross, and he died in place of us for our sin. He said that if you accept the payment that he made on our behalf, then we can walk free out of the courtroom and have everlasting life. It works like this. Imagine I have a $100,000 fine, and I'm downtown Mobile, right? I have this unpayable fine. I don't have $100,000. So the judge says pay up. If I can't pay up, what happens? I go to jail. So in the same way, if someone comes and pays my $100,000 fine, I can accept the payment for that and say, hey, judge, this person's paying my fine. The judge says, okay, he's guilty, but his fine has been paid. Guess what? I can walk free. That's exactly what Jesus did on the cross 2,000 years ago. He took our punishment on the cross, and he said that if you accept the payment that he makes on our behalf by repenting and trusting in him, then we can walk free out of God's courtroom and have everlasting life. But in the same way, if you reject the payment that Jesus made on your behalf, you're telling God, I'll pay it myself. But because you haven't lived a perfect life, you can't die for your own sins and wash that debt away. Your only other option is eternity in God's prison. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's right. Like that, we want to get people this message because, man, there's nothing more important than where you spend eternity. You yourself admitted that there has to be something out there.
Yes, there is.
I'm telling you, it's possible to know that. It's the person of Jesus Christ. I really appreciate our conversation, man. Take that with you. And also, this is another funny little track. This is a gospel track, too. It's $1 million bill, and it has information about our ministry. It's called Reach My City. You can actually look us up at reachmycity.com. There's a great app. We just released an app this year, and what we do is we have a live show every Monday that we do on Facebook and YouTube Live, and what we do is we take questions from people, because people have a lot of questions, right? We take questions live on air and do our best to give you a reasonable, rational answer from the biblical worldview about things like, why does God allow suffering? Why is there, evil in the world? Things like that. And we give you what the Bible says on that, and to clear up some of those questions. So contact us if you ever have any questions, man. But I pray that you think seriously about what we talk about, and don't just sit on your hands and say, oh, well, I'll get right with God one day, because guess what? Here's the last thing I wanted to tell you. You know how many people die every 24 hours? 150,000.
Every 24 hours?
Every 24 hours around the earth. So to make it more real, as we've been having this conversation 10 minutes or so, probably over 1,000 people have died
just now
over around the world. I mean, about as fast as you click your fingers. People are dropping off this earth. Most of them are like us. They're going about their daily life, not expecting it to be them, right? You got plans for the next week, next year, next 10, 20. The Bible promises a lot of things, man, but it doesn't promise tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you're right with God tonight. Don't put it off, because today is the day of salvation. Above all else, man, just call out to God. And like I said, we'll seek you out and find you. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice
Listening to the Reach My City podcast. Download the exclusive Reach My City app on the Android Google Play Store and also the Apple App Store. Gain access to all our content 24/7. Consider it like having a personal evangelism and outreach assistant right at the palm of your hand. Find out more information at reachmycity.com.